Elon Musk has been involved in the battlefield of Russia and Ukraine. On February 24, 2022, Russia attacked Ukraine, greatly escalating the Russo-Ukrainian conflict that had begun in 2014. Now, a dramatic escalation in tension between Russia and the US would result from Putin attacking SpaceX satellites because no nation has ever launched a missile attack against an adversary satellite. As Putin gave an open warning to destroy Elon Musk's SpaceX satellites, the high-voltage drama has been heated up. In today's video, let's dig deeper into the situation. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. If we're meeting for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to never miss another update from us. Without any further ado, let's start. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, announced extraordinary military operations in Ukraine, particularly in the east. Russian forces have launched airstrikes and pounded Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. However, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, has refused to leave the country. Many people worried that after Russia's invasion, Ukraine wouldn't have access to the internet due to cyber attacks, the loss of internet infrastructure, or even both. Although there have been a few brief disruptions and attacks on official websites, there hasn't generally been a blackout of the internet. Because the billionaire Elon Musk sent assistance after Mikhailo Fedorov, the vice prime minister of Ukraine, tweeted a request to him. While Elon Musk attempts to colonize Mars, Russia attempts to invade Ukraine, the minister tweeted. Russian missiles hit civilians in Ukraine as his rockets successfully touched down in space. They requested Musk to give Ukraine access to Starlink stations and tell rational Russians to stand. Within a day, Musk quickly responded through a tweet that within hours inactivated SpaceX's Starlink satellite broadband service in the conflict-torn nation. Starlink uses satellites in orbit around the Earth to directly provide internet services. The expensive satellite technology can deliver internet in remote locations where fiber optic cables and cell towers cannot reach an essential safety net during calamities. Thousands of Starlink satellites will be sent into orbit by SpaceX. Starlink became well known after the opening of the SpaceX Satellite Development Facility in Redmond, Washington in January 2015. During the opening, Elon Musk stated that there's still a significant unmet demand for accessible broadband capabilities around the world and that Starlink would aim to provide enough bandwidth to support up to 50% of all backhaul communications traffic and up to 10% of local internet traffic in high-density areas. With the addition of 52 extra satellites planned to join the constellation, SpaceX is one step closer to completing the full deployment of its initial wave of 4,400 spacecraft. SpaceX had placed 3,399 Starlink satellites into orbit, including prototypes and failed rockets. 2,500 of the company's active Starlink satellites are currently in orbit and another 500 are on their way there. According to astronomer and spaceflight activity monitor Jonathan McDowell's estimate, up till this point, about 2,900 Starlink satellites have been launched. Starlink provides high-speed, low-latency broadband internet that is available everywhere. More than 250,000 people utilize it worldwide, and 36 nations offer the service. According to reports, the corporation has received regulatory authority to launch at least 12,000 Starlink satellites into orbit and is now requesting a license from a global regulator to launch a further 30,000 satellites. On the other hand, Russia is renowned for distributing its propaganda online through planned social media efforts. But Ukraine has developed its own social media strategies, with its leaders arguing for Ukraine through individualized, frequently sincere appeals in a variety of platforms. The other businesses didn't give Fedorov everything he requested, but they did offer some assistance. Apple ceased product sales in Russia, disabled Apple Pay there, and deleted state-run Russian news applications from the App Store outside of Russia. While Google and YouTube have stopped monetizing ads on Russian state-controlled websites and channels, YouTube is deplatforming Russian state-controlled media in Europe. On Facebook and Instagram, Meta is limiting access to Russian state-owned media in the European Union and evaluating posts that contain links to such content globally. Mr. Musk, the CEO of SpaceX, has donated to Ukraine more than 10,000 dish antennas since the start of Putin's war, making him the Western company aiding Ukraine most likely to irritate Russia. Starlink has developed into an information lifeline for war-torn Ukraine, keeping devastated hospitals connected and acting as a conduit for drones aiming artillery strikes against Russian forces. The aerial reconnaissance unit of Ukraine is now able to connect with drones that have damaged several Russian tanks, mobile command centers, and other military vehicles thanks to Starlink. Additionally, Kiev has given schools, fire departments, and regional governments access to computers. To keep them connected, the Ukrainian Ministry of Health reports that 590 hospitals and clinics have Starlink terminals. A truckload of Starlink satellite dishes, popularly known as dishies, arrived in Ukraine. Elon Musk also activated the nation's Starlink space internet service, sparking a wave of favorable comments about his world-saving generosity. Although it's unclear if or when Ukraine will require a different internet provider, the Ukrainian military has benefited from targeted attacks made possible by Starlink satellite technology. The satellite navigation service, supplied by Starlink and other NATO satellites, is used to guide several drone systems and sophisticated weapons. Starlink is so effective that it's essentially the only means of space communication for Ukrainian military units, enabling constant communication, monitoring, and navigation. Furthermore, a SpaceX report released in September states that the business has donated more than $120 million in Starlink services to Ukraine this year, and estimates that doing so will eventually cost up to $400 million. This may be the reason why the company recently requested funding for this satellite support for Ukraine from the US Pentagon. In the wake of a Russian invasion, the SpaceX satellite network has attracted a lot of interest. Chinese military watchers are growing more anxious that the US military would be able to dominate space because of SpaceX's Starlink satellite network. However, some were concerned that support might come with added risk if Russia tracked the satellite signals and targeted whoever was using them. Musk would later express similar worries. The news follows Elon Musk's claim that Russia was attempting to destroy Starlink satellite services in Ukraine on October 15th. Despite the resources used to defend it, the system could malfunction. The Russians are now leery of Starlink because of this. The Russians threatened to destroy any civilian satellites, aiding in the conflict. Elon Musk's space-based internet provider Starlink is now seen by Moscow as a legitimate military target, making outer space the newest theater of battle in its quest to annex Ukraine. According to the estimates, which purports to be based on the opinions of military experts, at least 4,000 missiles would be needed to completely destroy the satellite network, given that there are presently more than 3,000 SpaceX satellites in orbit. Since some of the satellites are circling at an altitude of 600 kilometers outside of the missile's range, the network might still be able to function, albeit in a limited capacity. After threatening multinational firms that their commercial satellites could become military targets if they cooperate with Western governments for intelligence and communications operations, Russia has once again aroused concern in the global space community. Elon Musk's SpaceX may be specifically targeted, even though the warning generically pertains to a variety of businesses, as Musk has criticized Russia since the invasion of Ukraine. Elon Musk issued a serious caution on Twitter that the likelihood of being targeted is high because Starlink is the only non-Russian communication system that's still operational in some regions of Ukraine. Please use it responsibly. Furthermore, Russian local media has detailed how the Starlink satellite network could be destroyed, confirming Musk's fears that Russia might try to kill the satellites. Media reports from earlier claimed that the Russian military was attempting to use the Tirada 2S electronic jammer to disrupt Starlink satellite connections. The public domain only contains a limited amount of information on the system. The Starlink system is allegedly one of the prospective targets for Russian forces, according to a military study publication. In an open threat to SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, Russia has warned that it's ready to destroy private space assets being used to assist Ukraine. By providing Kiev with an internet connection throughout the past year, Elon Musk's Starlink satellite network has been essential to the city's defense. The Kremlin was incensed by this because a top official has now issued a warning that if such private space systems continue to cooperate with Ukraine, they run the possibility of becoming legitimate military targets. Konstantin Vorontsov, a senior member of the Foreign Ministry, cautioned the UN against a worrying trend that was emerging in space. Military operations are aided by the Starlink satellites, which guarantees great efficiency of communication between the Ukrainian armed forces and the NATO headquarters. Experts speculate that the problem may have been caused by SpaceX employees trying to prevent the Russian military from using the technology, since some areas had not yet been declared liberated. Two government representatives told the media that when Ukrainian troops entered cities that had just been liberated from Russian authority, they encountered connectivity issues. Do you think Elon will reply to Putin? Can Putin really do any harm to Starlink satellites? Let's know what you think in the comments below. That's it for the day, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more content like this, and we'll see you at the next one.